Hello everyone, Trainlover 16 is back again with another video. So, if you remember, 2 weeks ago I did my top 5 best roller coasters. Now, I hereby present to you my top 5 worst roller coasters. Now, it's not to say that some of these rides are bad, I mean some of the rides on this list are pretty good, it's just that they're not as enjoyable as some of the other coasters that I have ridden. So yeah, and also I'm recording this video unscripted, so apologies if I do a lot of umming and erring. So yeah, and that picture there on your screen is a Viper at Six Flags Magic Mountain, which is widely considered to be one of the worst roller coasters of all time. So yeah, that's yeah, anyway, oh god, I've forgotten what I was gonna say. Oh yeah, so take this list with a pinch of salt, because it's not, all these roller coasters are, there's not bad rides, most of the coasters on this list, but they're not as enjoyable as some of the other roller coasters that are on here. So take this list with a pinch of salt. Okay, without further ado, let's begin. So for number 5, we have Vampire at Chessington World of Adventures. Now, this isn't a bad roller coaster. It's actually a very good roller coaster. I really like it. I find it really enjoyable. But the first time I rode it, I didn't like it. It was really rough when I rode it for the first time. But yeah. But over the years, I have found a way to make the ride really less painful and make it even better. Yeah, I found a way to reduce the headbanging and make the ride far less painful and far more enjoyable. So here's a tip from me that for the next time you go to Chessington. So if you ever go on Vampire and you want to eliminate the headbanging, keep your head forward at all times. This won't completely eliminate the headbanging, but it will reduce it massively. I hope that tip helped you to enjoy Vampire a bit more the next time you go to Chessington. And as you can see on the left, we have the stats like in the top 5 best video. So it's located at Chessington World of Adventures, opened in 1990, it was built by Aerodynamics, has a height of 70 feet, a drop of 75 feet, a maximum speed of 45 miles per hour, 0 inversions, a duration of 65 seconds, excluding the time spent on the 2 lift hills, and a G-force of 4.0. And those stats are going to apply all throughout this list. So moving on. Number 4 is the Mighty Mini Mega at Adventure Island. Now again, like Vampire, this isn't exactly a bad ride, but in fact it's pretty smooth. I kind of like it. It's really nice and smooth and enjoyable. But the part I don't like about it is the fact that it's is like the supports come really close to the track. They really act like head chopper elements, and those head choppers are by far some of the closest and scariest head choppers I've ever experienced on a roller coaster. And because the supports are really close to the track and provide what some enthusiasts would consider to be great head chopper elements, I just find it really scary. And although I like the ride itself, I fear for my life whenever I go past one of those really close beams. Yeah, the stats are to the left of this video. Pause this video to read them. Right. Okay. For the next 3, we're really going to get into the nitty-gritty, so moving on. At number 3, we have the Dragons Apprentice at Legoland Windsor. Now, I'm not trying to be biased against kiddie coasters when I put it on this list, but holy hell, this this thing is very forceless. It's smooth. It's very smooth, but it's really forceless. You don't get any forces on it whatsoever, and it just makes the ride very boring. So yeah, and kiddie coasters can be forceful. It is possible for kiddie coasters to be forceful, and yeah, take a look. I mean, just take a look at the kiddie coaster in Adventure Island. I mean, I know it's no longer there, but they might be moving it up on top of the warehouse where it once was for next year, like what they did for Mighty Mini Mega when Adventure Island built Mini City. But that's not the point. The point is, I've been on the kiddie coaster at Adventure Island, and that ride is pretty forceful. So kiddie coasters can be forceful. I promise you they can be forceful. This, however, isn't. Yeah. And although it does have a G-force of 1, you don't exactly feel it. And it has a duration of 37 seconds, but it goes twice around the track. So you can tell this is a pretty lame ride. Yeah, it's forceless. It's overall it's just pretty boring. It's smooth, but it's boring. Right, moving on. Number 2 is the green scream at Adventure Island. No, just no. This thing is extremely painful. No. After a forceless yet admittedly smooth first drop, it's all downhill from there. From then on, your poor bum and knees will ricochet back and forth on the sides of the car, or even worse, if someone is sitting next to you, them, making the ride very painful for both of you. In fact, this ride's painful anyway, and its weird unpadded T-shaped lap bar is also very tight and uncomfortable, and you will also be lurched forwards into that. Oh, this ride is really not nice at all. You're not gonna like it at all. I certainly don't like it. Not to mention the cheesy sound effects that play in the station as the train's going around the track. Go look it up on the go watch an off-ride POV of this ride if you want to hear those sound effects. So yeah, but I promise you they're going to be so cheesy you'll cringe like hell. And the only reason the duration of this ride is 113 seconds is because the train goes around the track twice. Yes, you heard me. If you ride on this, you will be forced to endure its painful layout twice. Can you believe that? Oh God, this ride is. I really can't tolerate this ride at all. And whenever I go to Adventure Island, I only just ride it once in the day, and then that's just it. So yeah, this thing is. You're not gonna like this, I promise. You're not gonna like it. Alright, I'm done talking about this ride. Moving on. And before I get to my number 1 worst, I want to give a dishonourable mention to Rita at Alton Towers. And to be honest, this isn't exactly a bad ride. Like Vampire, it's a very good ride. However, it's an intimate accelerator coaster, and these things are notorious for being the further back you sit, the rougher the launch is. And I was actually sitting in the very back of the train when I rode it, and by that I mean literally the very last row, the last seat, the last 2 seats of the last carriage on the train. I'm not being serious, but actually, this was actually quite a good ride. And I only actually banged my head once on the over-the-shoulder restraint. And actually, believe it or not, despite the over-the-shoulder restraint, the 2 airtime hills actually do give you airtime. It's weird. Yeah, it's really weird how despite the over-the-shoulder restraints, you actually do get airtime. And actually, you get quite a lot of airtime. You get an immense amount of airtime. I was literally the only thing keeping me from flying out of the train at the top of the first airtime hill was my restraint. Yeah, this yeah, this is quite a good ride, but it is a bit of a headbanger if you don't really know what you're doing. So, so, so yeah, but should you ride Rita if you ever get the chance to go to Alton Towers? Yes. Yeah, ride Rita if you go to Alton Towers. It was really nice, and to be honest, even though it has a G-force of 4.7, you don't actually feel that at the end of the launch. It actually feels more like a G-force of 4.5 at the end of the launch, and you don't actually feel like you're travelling at 60 miles an hour at the end of the launch. You only really feel that speed when you're going around the first curve. So, yeah, it's not, yeah, it's a pretty weird ride, and also you get that G-force. That 4.7 G-force is actually felt at the bottom of the first airtime hill, so that's where I really felt the G-force. Yeah, so yeah, this is a pretty weird ride. That's not to say it's bad. It's pretty good, but it is a bit of a headbanger if you're an inexperienced rider. And the stats aren't in the places you would expect them to be. Yeah, so yeah. Anyway, moving on to my number one worst roller coaster, Dragon's Fury at Chessington World of Adventures. And this roller coaster, I don't think I can put into words how dreadful it is. Now, I appreciate a lot of people really like this ride, but for me, it just doesn't do it for me. Okay, so here's the main problem I have with this ride. I've ridden Spinball Whizzer at Alton Towers, which is basically the same model, except slightly taller, slightly faster, and slightly longer. And I actually found that to be a pretty enjoyable ride. This, however, isn't an enjoyable ride. It's just, yeah, it's a lot more painful than Spinball Whizzer, a lot more painful, and it even has some minor issues. Right, okay, so what's wrong with this ride? Well, for one thing, the lift hill is obscenely loud. That drives me crazy whenever I walk underneath this coaster. And also, unlike Spinball Whizzer, this thing is rough. Very, very, very rough. It's like really rough, and it's also jerky. The brakes are jerky. It has the turns aren't smooth at all. And overall it has some elements on it that aren't on Dragon's Fury. It has some really rough parts of the ride. It's like, for example, that S-bend just before the final brake run. That's not on Spinball Whizzer, and that element is, in my opinion, the most painful part of the ride. And the brakes on this thing are also really jerky, which is not a feature of Spinball Whizzer. This thing has the potential to be a good ride, but it isn't. What the actual hell, Chessington? Or Merlin? What the actual hell, Merlin? You can make Spinball Whizzer a good ride, which is the same make and model. Hell, these two rides even opened in the same year, 2004. No, so you can make Spinball Whizzer a good ride, but not Dragon's Fury. What the hell? It's like Dragon's Fury is just so painful. It's rough. It's so painful. Whereas Spinball Whizzer isn't. Spinball Whizzer is definitely the better of the two rides, and it's don't expect to get a good ride on this thing. You won't. I promise you, you won't. But if you ever go to Alton Towers, go on Spinball Whizzer. That thing is nice. This, however, isn't. This thing sucks like crap. This thing is utter crap, okay? C-R-A-P, crap. Okay, I'm done ranting about this ride. Let's move on to the final thing. Thank you for watching my top 5 worst roller coasters. And as you can see, that picture there is of Viper at Six Flags Magic Mountain, which is widely considered to be one of the worst roller coasters of all time. I told you that at the beginning of the video. You don't really need to know that. Anyway, so yeah, if you like this video, if you like what you see, please like this video, comment on it, share it with your friends, and subscribe to Trainlover 16 if you haven't already. Don't miss out on great content, especially Redcliffe Railway Tales Episode 9, which I promise you it's on its way. I will get it out as soon as possible. I'm nearly done with filming, but so yeah, that's pretty much going to do it for today. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye everybody!